And thank you all the presenter. Actually, it was very nice presentation. All the presenter, all the they just work like an present like an expert. All the research methodology, finding, discussion was very professional. Okay, thank you. Hope you will do very good in future. Inshallah, we will work together. Okay, this is the situation. This is the platform to communicate, just to network among each other. Okay, so hope you enjoyed this session. So we are going to start our next session. Our session here, Dr. Hassan Shakil Shah. He is joining us from Pakistan. He is waiting for a long time. So before we start our second session, just I would like to introduce Dr. Hassan Shakil Shah. Dr. Hassan Shakil Shah. Now currently he is working as assistant professor, Department of Islamic Thought and Civilization, University of Management and Technology, Pakistan. He has completed his bachelor degree from Al Azhar University, Egypt, and he has completed his master's from Sultan Sharif Ali University, Brunei Darussalam. And he has completed his PhD also from Brunei Darussalam University. He is an expert on Islamic banking, finance, and he has a lot of publication, research on this area. We are really happy to see him here. He manages time. Doctor, we are really happy. We want to welcome you in our session, Doctor. So, time is yours, Doctor.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dr. Zahidul Islam, thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. I hope you hear me, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. First of all, I would like to thank and to express my gratitude to the Asian and African Research Center and the organizers of first international conference on social sciences and humanities for inviting me to become part of this wonderful conference. And secondly, I would like to congratulate the organizers, and on top of them, Professor Dr. Zakaria and my very good brother and my fellow Professor Dr. Zahidul Islam for conducting such a wonderful and very great conference and inviting all the intellectuals from all over the world to discuss several topics. When I see the topics, really very interesting topics. They are talking on different areas. We have experts of finance, experts of social sciences and law, and many other areas. So without taking time, I think all of you know that we have 10 minutes for presentation, and I guess it is already late. So I would like to request my presenters, the team who will be presenting in this session, to kindly take care of the time. The actual given time is 10 minutes, but we cannot go up to 15 minutes. We will be just 10 to 12 minutes, please, in order to save the time. So without any delay, I would like to invite our first presenter, Dr. Hamidah, who is from University Airlangga, Surabaya, Indonesia. Thank you for joining us today. And her topic is predictor factors of adolescent mental health disorder in Surabaya prostitution areas during the COVID-19 pandemic. So, doctor, you are welcome, and the mic is yours. Floor is yours, please.
Yes. Okay. I can start?
Yeah, please, you can start.
Okay, thank you. You can see my PowerPoint?
Not yet, doctor. It is not
yet.
yet shared with us. Yeah.
Okay. I try.
Yeah, please.
I can active my... Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No worries, doctor. Take your time. Oh, I think there's some communication problem. Internet. She has left the meeting, but hopefully she will be joining us soon. Let us wait for a while. If she doesn't come, then we may invite the second presenter. Do we have Dr. Muhammad Hassan Ahmad around?
Yes, Doctor, I'm around.
Okay, let us wait for a moment. If Dr. Hamida comes back, then we will request her to start with her presentation. Otherwise, we will move to your good self.
Yes, Doctor. No worry, I'm ready. More than ready.
Thank you.
In fact, it has been an hour now.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Yes, most welcome.
Dr. Zahidul Islam, would you allow us to move to Dr. Hassan? Dr.
Yeah,
Muhammad
I think
Hassan?
so. I think so. We can
Because yeah, she might have some problem. So I would request Dr. Muhammad Hassan Ahmad, who is from the International Islamic University of Malaysia. His topic is curbing the Security Council's powers, thinking the unthinkable. So Dr. Muhammad Hassan, please, we are here ready to hear your findings and to listen to your wonderful presentation. Please, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Then I'm trying to share my PowerPoint just for 1 minute here. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to share the slide, but I could not do that.
No problem, Doctor.
Okay, so much. May I just present without the slide presentation? For some reason, I could not share the slides.
No problem. No problem.
Fine, yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Chair, Dr. Hassan, and as well the organizing committee of the conference for kindly allowing me to present. And it is my great honor for me today to present on thinking something which is unthinkable. All along people are saying. Why am I saying it is unthinkable? I'm talking about curbing the Security Council power. As this is most of you aware, yeah, not easier said than done in order to make any slight change in the Security Council. Then for me, before to propose any change to it, let me give you a little bit brief background on what Security Council is. I'm also aware most of you are already familiar with it, but please bear with me for just a few minutes only, as the session chair have already reminded us to make it as short as possible. I will try, inshallah. So in Article 23 of the UN Charter, Security Council consists of 5 permanent members and non-5 permanent members. Those 5 permanent members are big 5 who has the veto, as we all know, China, France, Russia, UK, and the US. And non-5 permanent members, for the time being, we have 10. I'm not going to name all of them, just to save the time. The slides I will be sharing later on in the WhatsApp group. So due to the technical problem, I could not share. You will be able to refer it easily. Yeah, what is the main responsibility of Security Council, which is to maintain international peace and security, nothing more than maintaining international peace and security. So how the Security Council is implementing to maintain international peace and security is by, at first, UN Charter obliged that to go for peaceful settlements of international dispute, which is peaceful means under Chapter 6. You can refer to Articles 33 to 38 of the UN Charter. If the peaceful means does not work, of course, not all countries peace loving, right? Sometimes even some of the prominent peace lovers says we need war in order to maintain peace in some cases. Therefore, Security Council also maintain international peace and security through economic or political sanction at times. If that does not enough, then they may even go for military intervention, which is under Chapter 7 of the UN Charter. And how do they vote? Whether for them to take those action, harsh action like economic sanction, political sanctions, or even military intervention. Normally, under Article 27 of the UN Charter, each member of the Security Council, just now I have described permanent members and non-permanent members, each of them will have one vote, right? But on procedural matters, to make it easy, non-important matters like when are they going to sit for the meeting and all that, it would be nice for them to have only 9 votes out of 15. But when it's come to discussing or deciding how to take action against nation states, then they need to have also the same amount of vote, which is 9 members. The tricky point here is that concurrent votes of the permanent members, which means if one permanent members say no, then there will be nothing out of Security Council. Therefore, there are plenty of commentators and thousands of articles have written criticizing on this very points, every now and then, which is not strange to any of you, I suppose, being the scholars of law. Another interesting point here to take note is that a party to dispute is requested or obliged to abstain from voting. Later on, I will relate this point to you through the decided cases before ICJ itself. So, of course, then Security Council have decided to add something. Then how impactful is that? Under Article 25, it says all members of the United Nations agree to accept and carry out the decisions of the Security Council, which means as long as the Security Council is acting in accordance with the UN Charter, then members have no choice but to accept, not only to accept, but also to carry out with the decisions of Security Council. So you can see how powerful is that, right? Therefore, surprisingly, you can see a very short comparison here. At the national level, we have 3 state organs, like a state have doctrines of separation of power, we have executive, we have legislative, we have judiciary. But that's not so in the United Nations. By very nature of the Security Council itself, it can be executive, it can also be the legislative, it can also be the judiciary at times. Isn't it interesting? One particular body running the whole, the matters of the whole world, which is responsible, primarily responsible for maintaining international peace and security, even having all these 3 rules in hand. So therefore, it is not something strange for us to notice. Security Council at times they go very far, right? How they go very far? For example, you may ask me what are the example of what they call assuming the legislative power. We can see through their decision, especially in the demarcation of Iraq and Kuwait border and disarmament of Iraqi forces, establishment of International Criminal Tribunal for former Yugoslavia, which no more for good reason, and establishment of International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, and many more. There are hundreds of it. I just name a few. From there, you can see when they decide something, from the resolution, it can generate law for the member state. And also, by looking into the establishment of International Criminal Tribunal for former Yugoslavia and also for Rwanda, we can see the judicial role of the Security Council as well. From the decisions of the Security Council, through its resolution, it is assuming some quasi-judicial powers at the international stage. Not only that, when it's come to executive, especially after 9/11 terrorist attack, Security Council have passed a very famous resolution 1373 asking all the government of the world to be seriously tackling the issue of terrorism. In doing so, they have empowered and knowingly in many jurisdictions the executive got a power. In some cases they can even bypass the legislative body. They can even bypass the parliament in those democratic nations. Therefore, no wonder we are hearing about Guantanamo Bay and this and that in US. In different countries have different design. China is also not arguing any less, saying that the Xinjiang, what they call it, the correctional kind of camp is not a concentration camp, right? So Russia had their own style of going overboard in dealing with the terrorism issue. I'm summarizing those very famous countries. There are also many other countries has done that, especially when you look at even this COVID-19 virus. Now these executives are having the best excuse of all that they can have by showing this tiny virus. They are actually, what they call it, they are concentrating a lot of power in their hand. They bypass judiciary, they can easily bypass legislative parliaments and whatnot. Anyway, having said that, the Security Council is holding the quasi-judicial power of the world, quasi-legislative power of the world, of course the executive power of the world. Is that mean the power of Security Council is totally unlimited? Of course, that's not the case. And Article 2.4 itself is clearly mentioned. Security Council will have to act in accordance with the purposes and principle of the United Nations, which is under Chapter 1 from prescribed specifically in Article 2 of the UN Charter. On top of that, of course, this is nowhere mentioned in the UN Charter, yet we all know there are some international principles, just cautions principle we call it. No country or no states or no institution in the world can derogate from those norms. For example, under no circumstances a country or an institute, even the Security Council, can say we can go for genocide, we can go for crime against humanity. No such thing. Everybody knows that's not the case, because we can torture people at will. That is against just cautions principle, right? Of course, Security Council cannot go against that too. But the next immediate question is, who is going to check and balance? Is that ICJ? Of course, it's far from it. Far from it. The reason why I'm saying, we can see from the Lockerbie case. When we focus there in Lockerbie case, you will find the way ICJ had treated Security Council, even in violations of UN Charter. I'm not making a bold statement. I can give you the evidence of it. For example, US and UK. I'm not blaming the individual country as well. This is just my humble legal analysis. US and UK have requested Libya to surrender the suspects of Lockerbie bombing, right? Lockerbie case is a famous case, so I'm not going to waste more time, because we need to, what they call it, I'm about to finish as well. So then Libya start questioning, filing a case before ICJ saying that why should Libya surrender these two suspects, whereas Libya has an option whether to prosecute those suspects by Libyan government or Libyan judiciary, or to extradite to the claiming state, in this case US and the UK. And then ICJ unfortunately did not review the decisions of the Security Council, saying that, look, you have already agreed under Article 25 of the UN Charter to agree and carry out the decisions of the Security Council. In this case, now Security Council is asking you to deliver these two suspects. Please, by all means, deliver it to them. In fact, that request mainly made by UK and US is in violations of Article 27, paragraph 3, where I just now put an emphasis, saying that the disputing party should not involve in voting or in decision making. In this case, UK and US, they are disputing party. At the same time, they are the one who request for the suspect from the Libyan government. That clearly shows quite upward, right? Yet ICJ did not take that way. ICJ says we better follow what the Security Council is saying. So ICJ is not also a forum where we review the Security Council power. So isn't it very dangerous? You have seen Security Council is having such a big power, and then there is no institute to review its power. Again, I don't mean to say it's all bad. Yeah? Without Security Council, the world can be more miserable. We can see from the history, before having Security Council, the world is much worse than now. Now also not perfect world yet, but don't we all wish to achieve to that perfect world one day? If we would like to achieve, I would humbly advise, this is the high time for us to sit again and think how to what they call it, to reform the Security Council for the better maintenance of international peace and justice. What they call it, without any partiality and also prejudices among the global powers and also the powerless nation. Again, my humble observation is that it is easier said than done, because Article 108 of the UN Charter says, if we were to make any amendment to the UN Charter, we need to have agreement from all the permanent members of the Security Council. Therefore, at the international politics, where national interest is the key word, it's a bit difficult to say, yet we should not lose hope and try. Maybe this big five also, they have census sometime, right? Therefore, Security Council can come out with consensus decision at time. So if the world population demand justice, they will listen in the future. But how for us to reform, I'm not going into detail. Thank you so much, Doctor, for your kind notice. And I am done with this as well. Thank you all of you again for kindly listening to me. Please, I won't be able to available for Q&A session. I'm really sorry. I will have to rush for some other urgent matters. If any question, I don't know whether I may collect it now or later. You can kindly email to me also personally. So I will leave it to the session chair to decide. Yeah. Thank you so much, Doctor. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Walaikum assalam warahmatullah. Dr. Hassan, you had given a very important and wonderful presentation, and thank you very much. We have enjoyed it, of course. I think we are running out of time because it is Friday, and in some countries the time is up to, I mean, it's already Friday prayer time. So I think if we have, if anyone has question later on, we can inshallah contact you through email or through your WhatsApp number. We will collect it from Dr. Zahidul Islam and share with everyone inshallah. So thank you very much for your wonderful presentation, and we wish you all the best for your next plans of today. Thank you, Doctor. And if we have Dr. Hamida back, but if the other participants and presenters would allow me, because I have received a request from Sir Abdul Majid Ibrahim Sahab. Sir Abdul Majid Ibrahim, he wants to present as early as possible because he's also going for Jummah prayer. So if other presenters allow me to bypass, is it okay? With your kind permission, I will only allow him to present. Dr. Hamida, would you allow me?
Okay.
All right. Okay. So we would like to invite Abdul Majid Ibrahim to present who is from the International Islamic University, Malaysia. His topic is the right to a fair trial and military justice system in the Republic of Maldives. So mic is yours, sir. Abdul Majid. Mr. Abdul Majid Ibrahim.
I think he has disconnected, I think. I hope he will be back.
Yeah, because the issue is Jummah prayer. Everyone would like to catch prayer on time with Jamaat. We wait a moment, and if he's not back, then we will request Dr. Hamida. 1,
Thank you.
2,
Thank you, Dr. Hassan.
3. Yes, Dr. Hamida.
Okay.
Please.
Yes, thank you. Dr. Zahidul, can help me to share my presentation?
Did you send me?
Yes,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
WhatsApp.
In WhatsApp.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Really?
But I didn't get your slide, doctor.
Me?
Oh yeah, got it.
Abdul Majid Ibrahim, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
How many minutes do you have before Juma prayers?
Sorry? I
Before
have only
Juma prayers?
15 minutes more.
Okay, Dr. Hamida, would you allow
Yes.
us? Please.
Doctor,
Okay,
doctor,
Dr.
please.
Please, Ibrahim.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Ibrahim, please.
Can you see the slide, Dr. Ibrahim?
Yes.
Abdul Majid?
Yeah. Just 1 minute. Assalamu alaikum. Are you all hear me?
Yes, we do. Please,
Yeah.
go ahead.
My research topic is quite sui generis in the legal spectrum in the globe. The research is based on military justice. So specifically, this paper, I'm going to discuss or talk about the right to a fair trial and the military justice system in the Republic of Maldives. So currently, the Maldivian National Defense Force have a fair and trial justice gap. So the first establishment of Maldivian Army is 21st April 1892. So the first Armed Forces Act was enacted in 2008. So before enacting the first Armed Forces Act, the army was governed without any act. So our constitution was amended. The last amendment was added in 2008. So the main objective of this this research paper is to determine how Maldivian Armed Forces is dealing with the fundamental or constitutional rights. Also to investigate how Maldives National Defense Force military justice system has governed. Also to compare military justice system within the context of fair and trial justice. Also to analyze best practice or international standard on military justice. Next. So it is tested the hypothesis that overriding fundamental rights will subjugate to maintain good order and discipline in army. So this research paper is my research method is doctrinal legal research as legal proposition based on the study. Also, the conventional theory, law, statutory, and materials, and some court decisions. I would research on this area. So the results show the existing military justice system in Maldivian army is incompetence, which require to align constitutional and international standard to establish an effective system. Okay, next. So it is in the beginning I have mentioned that this area is quite unique, or some they are not very much aware about the military justice system. So military justice system refer to the system which states have put in place to regulate both disciplinary and criminal offenses by member of their armed forces. It also, military justice system can be broadly grouped into two sources: domestic and international law. Domestic law, it falls under all the constitutional principle, and international law as international humanitarian law and international human rights law. Next, Dutur. So, as I have mentioned that the last amendment was taken by the Maldivian Constitution is 2008. So there was several constitutional rights which have guaranteed to all Maldivian. So in this between these rights, my research is focused on the Article 42, guaranteed the fair and transparent hearing, also guaranteed fair and administrative action. Also, Chapter 63, violence of laws consistent with fundamental rights. So the responsibility and the duties of the state and all the established organizations have a great responsibility to ensure to regulate in these fundamental rights. Okay, next. International law, specifically ICCPR was ratified 2006. So in the name of governing military justice system in Maldives National Defense Force has substituted UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 5, 9, 10, and 12. So subrogation ICCPR Article 14 has guaranteed. So the fair and public hearing by a competent and independent and impartial tribunal has been guaranteed by the Article 14 on ICCPR. Okay, next. So these are some court cases which have deal by the army, deal by the Maldivian armed forces, and they interpret to deal these cases in the name of governing military justice. But in the civil system, all these cases, initially in the military justice system, Maldives armed forces, all the service officers are terminated or dismissed. But in the civilian court, all these service members are reinstated to service. Specifically, I want to emphasize the last case, 2017 HCA 16 Shamal versus State. I think the majority participant is belong to Bangladesh. This is General Shamal. Now he is in Bangladesh. Fortunately, he is the Chief of Army of Maldives, but he was dismissed. He was terminated to by military justice system in 2013. So the Maldivian High Court, they reinstate the General Shamal to service. So based on violating, or we are not very much aware or guaranteed the fundamental rights. Okay, next. So the conclusion is the Army Act have the right to a fair trial. The military justice system does not meet the standards of fair trial, denying those subjects to the Army Act the right to a fair trial. The military justice system is outdated and need large-scale reformation. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Abdul Majid, thank you very much for your nice presentation. And you may attend the Juma prayer, and once you come back, we will ask the audience if they have any questions. Okay, thank you very much once again. And now I would like to invite Dr. Hamida. Dr. Hamida, very sorry for the delay and for this disturbance. I believe you will understand, and thanks for your cooperation. Please,
Yes.
Floor is yours.
No problem, Dr. Hassan. I'm fine.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning or good evening, everybody. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Maybe my topic is different with other topics about law and rule, and my topic is about mental health adolescents in Surabaya, especially in the area of prostitution. Prostitution in Surabaya is named Doli area. Doli area is the biggest maybe in ASEAN prostitution. But this area closed by Wali Kota Surabaya between 2000 maybe 2018 maybe close. So Surabaya maybe many clean from prostitution, but I don't know. Okay, my research about predictor factors of adolescents' mental health disorder in Surabaya prostitution area during the COVID-19 pandemic. Maybe everyone know how the condition in the prostitution area. This is violence, aggression, emotional disorder, and many high-risk behavior in the area. Because in the area, many complicated social problem and psychological problem. And then, Mr. Zaidul. Okay. Based on the research and the publication journal, many variables in the relationship with the mental health in adolescents. The first, that is background in Indonesia, kind mental health like that, yeah. 11.8 experience unipolar depression, alcohol abuse, schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is psychotic disorder, and bipolar depression and dementia. But in this year, Ministry of Health have a regulation to construction and to identification about adolescents depression to adult maybe. We ready to construction guideline and guidebook to help adolescent deal with her depression. Then this is factor as long as pandemic to support it mental health adolescent in Surabaya, especially prostitution area. And based on many research before, the variable relationship with mental health disorder are resilience and emotional intelligence, parenting style, and then social interaction, I mean in social skill. We have 5 variables in this research. One variable is mental health as a Y variable, and the X variable is parenting style, emotional intelligence, social interaction or social skill, resilience, and many kind of type of parenting. Okay. Yes, this is my variable in this my research. The research done with quantitative research by survey. I have 5 skill with use scale of Likert, and then I have 1 variable Y and 4 variable X. Data I collect with 5 scale and then be analyzed by F-test, differential test, and the regression correlation to analyze about contribute each variable X to variable Y. The result of this table, you can see maybe almost variable have correlated regression to the mental health, and 1 variable not correlated in the mental health. The variable is the resilience, but 3 variable X have contributed to the mental health in the adolescent depression in Surabaya prostitution area. The biggest factor, oh yes, this is edit result. Age, gender, area of original, and level education have correlation with mental health disorder, but this is small contribution. Maybe female more high risk from male, and younger lower risk, and the high education may be lower risk to mental health disorder. The stronger predictor is emotional intelligence to contribute to the mental health disorder. Okay. Variable with cannot predictive adolescent mental health is level of education, not correlated, area of origin, not correlated, resilient, not correlated. Resilient is maybe need discuss, continuing in the depth discussion, in the depth research about how the resilient not contribute to the mental health disorder, special in the prostitution area. This is conclusion I already described in the before. The culture distinctiveness and the regional value of prostitution do not have a significant effect on mental health disorder. Yeah. This is because the culture, okay, no problem, sir. This is because the culture and behavior developed in the area have shaped the personality trait and the behavior of the participant by parenting and by interacting social with other as long as they live in the prostitution area. The key behavior they do is the learning process by modeling, by imitating, and the other kind to form the character, to the trait, to the behavior, how to facing the pandemic, how to facing the problem with traumatic problem. So the adolescent in the prostitution area maybe have happiness more than adolescents other in Surabaya. The learning becomes okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Zahidul, Dr. Hassan, for your kind and your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hamida. It was a great and very informative presentation. I do have a question, but I will also ask at the end of the session. And I believe others will also collect the question and they will write down in order not to forget them. Okay, we have next presenter, Professor Dr. Muhammad Abdul Jalil, who is from Harvard University of Bangladesh, and his topic is the role of Padma multipurpose bridge in the national sustainable development of Bangladesh. Sir, Professor Dr. Muhammad Abdul Jalil.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, Professor.
Actually, no, I'm not the professor. The professor,
right, okay.
Abdul Jalil, is sick. He is actually he's tested COVID-19 and he got the positive result, and that's why I will present the slides.
So you will be presenting on his behalf.
On behalf of Professor Abdul Jalil.
Okay, brother Muhammad Tohin Mia. Thank you very much. Please, you may start.
Okay, thank you so much for allowing me.
Then you will be also answering on his behalf.
Yes.
Okay, please.
Okay, do you watch my slides? Right? Are you watching my slide?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, moderator, and thank you all the participants for your nice presentation and cooperation. I am Muhammad Tuhin Mia, and I am presenting the topic, the role of Padma multipurpose bridge in the national sustainable development in Bangladesh, on behalf of Professor Dr. M.D. Abdul Jalil. Actually, if you we are talking about Padma multipurpose bridge, the largest ever bridge in Bangladesh. But the name is Padma multipurpose bridge, but it is called by Padma bridge, just Padma. The spelling is Padma, but we pronounce it Padma. So how it plays role in the national sustainable development in Bangladesh, inshallah I will discuss that. Though it is not, it is under construction, not constructed fully yet. But what will be the role of Padma multipurpose bridge in the national economy and the national sustainable development? So we are going to discuss that. This is my content. First of all, I will just introduce the Padma multipurpose bridge project, and then I will be discussing on the role of Padma multipurpose bridge, like the economic impact, the poverty reduction, human resource development, social transformation, and environmental impact, and so many things we'll be discussing later. And then there are few challenges of for the multi-purpose bridge. Inshallah, I will also mention that. Introduction. Actually, Bangladesh is a riverine country, and there are 213 rivers in Bangladesh, but there are only four the biggest river in Bangladesh: the Padma, the Meghna, Jamuna. So the Padma, there is already a bridge in the Jamuna in the central Bangladesh, between the central Bangladesh and the western Bangladesh. But Padma is a river connected between the central Bangladesh, I mean the Dhaka, and the southwestern part. So there are also 20 important bridges have been already constructed. So, however, the Padma multipurpose bridge is the largest bridge ever in the country going to construct. Almost all important objections of the location will reduce the distance from Dhaka by 100 kilometers or more. I mean, from the Dhaka city to the southwestern part, if you want to travel, then you need to travel like 3 hours on the rivers. But if the bridge is constructed, then almost, I mean more than 100 kilometers will be reduced the distance. And the vehicle towing season for each trip will be reduced by more than 3 hours. It is distance, the absolute length. The length, the total length of the bridge is 6.1 kilometer, or the 6,150 meter. The bridge will be two-storied, steel pallet bridge. The upper pallet will be the four-lane highway, and the lower pallet will be the rail track or railway route, and the other line like electricity, gas, and everything. The accessibility study conducted by JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, they predict that after the completion of the Padma bridge, the daily traffic volume, if you talk about Bangladesh or Dhaka, then you must have heard about the traffic. So if the bridge is constructed, then the daily traffic volume will reach 21,300 vehicles, and by 2050 there will be 41,600 vehicles per day. The bridge will save approximately 681,000 liters fuel within a day, because a lot of ferry, boat, lawns now are traveling. So if the bridge is constructed, that fuels will be saved. So there are also so many impacts on environmental, on economy, on the rural employment, everything. So I will be discussing on later. But for now, I'm declaring that our research is based on a qualitative research. So going through the role of Padma multipurpose bridge on sustainable development. First of all, it talks about economic impact, because the bridge, the main thing, bridge will reduce the traffic, the fuel, and also it will impact on the national economy. So the first thing comes with the economic impact. The total economic output value of the southwestern district will increase by 73.4%. Indeed, the largest increase of 159 was formed, which was caused by construction activities, and these activities were caused by affiliated companies, public utilities, and followed and equipment. The total value of gross domestic product or GDP of southwestern Bangladesh will increase by more than 71% between 2014 and 2044. The annual selection of southwestern GDP for more than 13 years, 31 years, about 2.3%, contrary to the public, or national case. The largest return will be accumulated in unqualified work, or followed by the capital factor. Then the breeze will reduce the poverty. How? With the rapid growth of GDP, the country's per capita income has greatly exceeded, and the pace of need has been reduced. Bangladesh also ranks ahead of South Asia and other least development countries in some social indicators. Bangladesh already has made each of the three measures set by the United Nations and came out from the least development country in 2018 already. According to the World Bank country order or report, Bangladesh has changed from a low-income country to a lower middle-income country in 2015. The country has made excellent resolutions in achieving the Millennium Development Goals from 2015. Currently, Bangladesh is striving to become a resourceful country by 2041, and also it is Bangladesh has been operating for achieving the Sustainable Development Goal by 2030. The absolute utilization rate of household in southwestern Bangladesh will increase by 68.14%. The whole poverty reduction of the southwestern part of Bangladesh will be reduced after the construction of the bridge. The human resource development resource will be developed by after the Padma multipurpose bridge construction. The bridge will bring ordinary people a vital force for industrialization. Small enterprises or various scales will be prospered and develop in the region. Ultimately, this will promote the development of the national economy. The Padma bridge was evaluated so that the country's GDP will grow by more than 1%, and it will profit approximately 30 million people in 21 southwestern district of Bangladesh. So, and it will also make and build so many job opportunities in southwestern part. So the human resource will be developed after the fully construction of the bridge. Then social transformation. For the project now, government has already took the eastern part, and government also providing them a small land with living environment. With the house, with the other facility like electricity, gas, and the standard living facilities. So the social transformation or social society will be developed in that portion or that southwestern part. Environmental impact. After the construction of the bridge, the whole, the transport of river, like the ferry, the launch, the boat, everything will be reduced or closed. So the fuel will not be, fuel will be saved, and also for the bridge, the project is constructing few river bank pile, so that the river bank is not collapsed. So the environment will be there will be an impact of environment, and it's a we can say that it's a positive impact for the environment. Of course, it will increase the easy and safe communication, because now if you want to travel from the central part of Bangladesh to the south part, then you have to travel 3 or more hours in the river. But after the construction of the bridge, it will reduce almost 100 kilometers and reduce the time also. It will take only 25 minutes to on the bridge. So the communication will be easier than before. Then electricity, gas, and telecommunication connection will be established there through the bridge, and it will impact on the sustainable development in the country. Also, there are few challenges of for the multi-purpose bridge, like there will be many other social and political variables that may pose a danger to the later realization of the bridge. The company has obtained, I already said that 755 hectares of land for the construction of bridge and related foundations, including the development of 5 relocation places. Similarly, in approximately 6 years, approximately 168 hectares of land were temporarily needed for the construction site to construct the bridge. And due to the shortage of rural land, about 30,000 people in 10,000 family units will lose their jobs and also their income, and around 25,000 people will be adversely affected by the affected fisheries, administrative management, transportation, and so many sectors. Also, there is an allegation came from the World Bank. World Bank refused to finance Bangladesh government because the allegation they raised that the corruption. So, however, the Bangladesh government, they managed the finance by themselves without any finance from other sources like World Bank or any other countries or organizations. However, it reached a helpless relationship with the World Bank and other organizations. So this is the challenges already faced and also facing to construct the bridge. In conclusion, we can say that for the multi-purpose bridge or for the bridge will continue to maintain the milestone structure of Bangladesh and will achieve essential communication. But at the same time, it also marks another achievement designed by in an extremely ecologically risky area. The bridge will also provide a large amount of travel, especially between Dhaka to Dhaka and southeastern Bangladesh. Even in India, maintain the bridge after construction strongly, so that Bangladesh can gain a strong economic impact for the country. Thank you so much. This was my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, brother Tohin Mia. Brother, your presentation was really very informative, and we learned a lot about Bangladesh, the country, the infrastructure of the country, and I was really amazed that this bridge will reduce the distance of almost 100 kilometers. It is amazing, really. And our best wishes for the completion of the bridge and the development of the country. And we will definitely ask you questions later on. Without any delay, I would like to invite Ms. Noor Mahinar Binti Abu Bakr, who is also from the International Islamic University of Maldives. She will be speaking on unfair contract terms in financial contracts. She will be doing comparison of different financial companies. So without any delay, I would like to invite Ms. Noor Mahinar to please start with her presentation. Please. I think she's arranging. Yeah.
Assalamualaikum. Can everybody see my slide?
Yes, Ms. Noor, we can see your slides and we can hear you well. So you may start.
All right. I thought I wanted to give way for the azan first. Or shall I start?
No problem. You can take your time and start.
Okay. I shall be rather quick for this one. I'm from IIUM. The title of my study is The Unfair Contract Terms in Financial Contracts. I'm doing a comparative impact of the landmark case in Malaysia, which is the CIMB Bank Berhad versus Anthony Lawrence Group in 2019 against the case in Australia, the Australian Securities Investment Commission versus Bendigo and Adelaide Bank. This is a table of content of my study, of my presentation today. I will go through the introduction, research, objective of the study, and the finding of this study and case and the bending section. I would compare the impact of both respective cases, and finally on the I would make some recommendations and complete this study. I bring to you an example of unfair contract term in the financial contract. This one is in Malaysia financial contract. This is another word for this term is also named as exemption clause. Basically, this is what a common unfair term sounds like. In no event will the bank be liable for any lost profits, loss of use, lost savings, or other consequential, incidental, indirect, budgetary, etc. For their non-performance. That means the banks are exempting their activity. This clause or unfair term is commonly found in most standard form consumer contracts for financial products, services, home loans, credit card, and financial advice contracts. On one part, these exemption clauses.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Mr. Tohin, can you please mute your mic? But Ms. Noor, your voice is not much clear. We can hear a bit of noise. Can you fix it? Is it possible? If possible.
Okay. Am I clear right now?
It's better than before. Yeah.
Better than before. All right. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okay. Basically, this unfair contract term, it gives advantage to the financial services. I mean, in this case, the banks, because these exemption clauses actually exempt these banks from being liable for any negligence on their part. Even though these unfair contract terms, even though these standard terms presents an efficiency role for mass distribution of goods and services, it reduces transaction costs and it eliminates the need to negotiate many details of a contract. However, on one part, it causes detriment to the bank consumer. Okay, this study adopts the qualitative research methodology, which employs a doctrinal method which focuses on the case law of CIMB and bank legal case, including other statutes and legal sources. For Malaysia, main legislation used in this study was Contract Act, Consumer Protection Act, Financial Services Act, and Islamic Financial Services Act. As for Australia, only one act is being applied, the Australian Securities Investment Commission Act, or the ASIC Act. Apart from that, secondary sources used in this study include guidelines and policy document by Bank Negara and ASIC, textbook, journal articles, etc. The objective of this study is to examine the impact of the case of CIMB in Malaysia and the case of Bendigo Bank in Australia on the unfair contract terms regime, particularly on the legislative part, the judiciary, and the regulatory part. The first finding of this study regarding the CIMB Bank Berhad and Anthony Lawrence work, 2019. I'll go through the facts of the case. In 2008, the plaintiffs, Anthony Lawrence and his wife, they are foreigners residing in UK. They bought a property in Malaysia on loan by CIMB Bank, the defendant in this case. This contract entails that the bank, since this the property is still under construction, so the bank has to pay progressive payment to the developer. On 12 March of 2014, the developer sent an invoice and architect certificate to the defendant seeking for payment. And on 13 March, the defendant or the CIMB Bank received the documents related to the purchase. Anyhow, on 25th March 2014, it was supposed to be the payment due date for the progress payment. However, due to the negligence of the bank, and a year later, the sum is still being unpaid, and the developer terminated the sale and purchase agreement with the plaintiffs. Fast forward, in 2017, the plaintiffs filed a claim against the defendant in the High Court for damages due to the termination of sale and purchase agreement by the developer. However, sadly, the High Court held that the exemption clause or clause 12 in this case, the contribution clause 12 in this case, the court held that this clause absolved the defendant from any liability to the plaintiffs. However, in 2018, the plaintiffs appealed to the Court of Appeal, and the Court of Appeal reversed the decision of the High Court and allowed the claim of the plaintiff. Next, the defendant, in this case the CIMB, appealed to the Federal Court for the Court of Appeal's decision. However, the Court of Appeal upheld the decision of the the Federal Court of Malaysia upheld the decision of the Court of Appeal and decided that the exclusion clause is void and unenforceable. As for the finding 2 of this study, this one is regarding the case in Australia of ASIC versus Bendigo and Adelaide Bank Limited. Initially, the ASIC, or the regulator, financial regulator for Australia, commenced proceeding in 2019 against Bendigo and Adelaide Bank because in reviewing their 6 contracts on their 6 consumer contracts, the ASIC found that there are certain terms for the small business contracts are unfair and void. The proceeding by ASIC, and then the ASIC commenced proceeding, and the High Court, in this case, the Australian Federal Court in 2020 decided that the controversial clauses such as the indemnity clause, event of default clause, unilateral variation clause, and the conclusive evidence clause were held to be unfair by the court. The basis of the decision by the court was because all these terms created significant imbalance, which is highly, goes to the side of the bank. However, it causes detriment to the customer, and in doing so, the contract did not mitigate the unfairness created by the clause. So the impact of this case in Australia shows that the ASIC is very committed in enforcing the unfair contract terms provision to protect consumers in Australia from unfair terms in loan contracts. On the analysis and discussion of this study found that in the comparing within these 2 cases, for Malaysia, the exclusion clause can absorb the bank's liability. This was based on the finding of the CIMB case, and in contrast, in the ASIC case, all the controversial clauses were actually found by the court cannot exclude the bank's liability. Interestingly, for Malaysia, instead of an unfair contract term act being applied, contract act was being used by the court. However, for Australia, the ASIC Act was being applied. For Malaysia, Section 29 on Public Policy of the Contract Act was used in this case. For Australia, Section 12, BG, which defined the unfair terms, were being applied. Financial regulator for Malaysia is Bank Negara and ASIC for Australia. Fast forward, there are 4 takeaways from the findings and from the table that being discussed earlier. In Malaysia, the court allow exemption clause being used in financial contract provided it is in clear language and do not offend Section 21, because Malaysian court still practices the principle of freedom of contract. However, in Australia, exemption clauses are prohibited altogether. As for deterrent effect, in Australia, unfair contract term is not illegal under the ASIC Act. For Malaysia, even though unfair contract term is not illegal under the Contract Act, however, under the Consumer Protection Act, it is illegal and can be fined Ringgit Malaysia 100,000 K for individuals or 250,000 K for corporate body. On the third takeaway of this analysis and discussion, it is found that although Part 3A Consumer Protection Act deals with unfair contract terms, but this case in Malaysia, the CIMB, they do not apply the CPA Act because on the belief that for financial consumer, they are bound by the provisions of FSA, Financial Services Act, and Islamic Financial Services Act. However, FSA and IFSA do not contain a provision on unfair contract terms. As for Australia, fortunately, they have specific provisions on unfair contract terms in their ASIC Act. Lessons from both 2 cases for financial service providers is that all banks need to review their standard consumer contracts such that their contracts should not contain any unfair contract terms. Basically, this study recommends that for Australia, they need to impose civil pecuniary penalties on the use of unfair contract terms as a deterrent measure. Okay, they also need to expand the infringement notice regime for the ASIC, and then provide additional remedies beyond voiding unfair contract terms. For example, ability for small business to apply to court to vary a contract that has been declared to have an unfair contract term. As for Malaysia, this study recommends that they need more protection for bank consumers for unfair contract terms. In other words, Malaysian court should exempt or exclude all clauses automatically that contains unfair contract terms. In conclusion, this study states that the decision of the Malaysian Federal Court in the CIMB case has removed the legal bulletproof of exclusion clauses which prevented financial consumers from filing suit against banks. Because of that, Bank Negara has come up with a new policy document, which is the fair treatment for financial consumer in Malaysia. And this policy document is being implemented by all banks so far. And then as for Australia, ASIC has and the court has performed a strong enforcement action. So they are very reliable bodies, so we expect that consumers are more aware and more knowledgeable on their rights against unfair contract terms as compared to Malaysia. With that, I thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Noor Mahinar, for the informative and wonderful presentation. It was nice to know about financial contracts and unfair contract terms. We can have questions with you later on. Without any delay, I would like to invite Mr. A&M Arifur Rahman, who is from Stanford University, Bangladesh. His topic, he would be speaking on the Cooch Bihar merger agreement, origin of South Asian discomfort. So, Mr. Arifur Rahman, are you around? Mr. Arifur Rahman, do we have him with us here?
I think not, he's not here.
Mr. Arifur Rahman. All right, doctor. Then we will be moving to our last presenter, Mr. Nurullah Sahab. Mr. Nurullah, he is from International Islamic University of Malaysia. Mr. Nurullah, he will be speaking on the right to fair trade under international human rights law, comparative analysis from Islamic law.
He's also not here, doctor.
All right, so then what would you suggest? We will move to Q&A session.
Yeah, we are just open for the question Q&A, if any question.
All right. Mr. Noor, Miss Noor, can you please close your this screen share? We can see your screen, so can you just switch it off? All right, dear participants and audience, the floor is open for question and answers. You are invited to please ask the presenters regarding their presentations. You can comment, you can clarify, you can ask, you can give your opinion. Please. Any question from audience? Okay, if we will receive any question we can entertain, but since we do not have question from the audience, so can I ask a question from? Let me ask a question to Dr. Hamida. Dr. Hamida, are you around?
Yes.
Okay, Dr. Hamida, in your presentation, you mentioned the mental health disorder in Surabaya during the COVID-19 pandemic. So my question is that, do you see that this disorder increased or decreased during COVID-19?
Generally in Indonesia increase.
It increased.
Maybe, yes, maybe almost all cases increase. Anxiety, depression, stress, and post-traumatic disorder is increased.
Okay, this disorder was increased because of COVID, or do you think any other reasons?
Yes, because the traumatic disorder and other emotional problem is not a problem with quickly period, but that is as a result of parenting every day from the individual as children to this time, and the problem not yet not yet therapy. So if they have precipitating event, the problem is explosion.
All right. Okay, so are there any NGOs or government organizations trying to reduce?
Yes, Alhamdulillah, in Indonesia full collaborated from Association Psychological Indonesia, from Clinical Psychologist Indonesia, from Ministry of Health and the other NGO. We have services free charge for guide almost all people in Indonesia who need counseling, who need therapy, who need discussion and other by online. We use.
Okay, so they are receiving positive results.
Yes.
So this disorder is reducing.
Yes.
Because of these efforts.
Yes, that is evident. Month by month, the number of participants, the number of people is decreased. And maybe in this month, maybe not patient for me as a psychologist.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Hamida.
Thank you,
If we do not have any questions from others, let me ask a question to Ms. Noor Mahinar.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hamida. Ms. Noor Mahinar, are you with us?
Yes, doctor.
Ms. Noor Mahinar, maybe you have already explained it, but I am sorry I couldn't notice. Can you just explain once again that what do you mean by unfair contract terms in financial contracts?